My beloved child, there is a calling that does not begin with applause, a platform, or clarity. It begins in shadows. It begins in silence. It begins when everything around you seems unchanged. Yet something inside you has already shifted. That is where you are. You have not yet seen the victory, but I have already whispered your name. You have not walked through the open door, but I have already positioned your feet. You have not been celebrated, but you have been marked. Marked by a calling that came before the victory, before the proof, before anyone else could see what I was doing. I need you to feel the weight of that, not as pressure but as purpose. You were never called in response to your success. You were called in advance of it. This moment in your life where things feel still, stretched, suspended. It is not a pause in your story. It is a preparation in my design. Because a true calling does not begin after the battle is won. It begins before the trumpet sounds, before the walls fall, before the sea splits. It begins when your heart still trembles, when your hands are still empty, when no one is watching. And yet I speak your name with authority as if the victory has already happened. Because in my eyes it has. You have looked for signs to know that I am near. You have begged for evidence to know the promise still stands. You have waited for change to prove that you are still on track. But I am not the God who speaks according to the pace of your surroundings. I am the one who speaks from eternity. And when I say you are called, that word is not a suggestion. It is a foundation. It does not matter what has not changed. It does not matter what has not opened. My calling is not delayed by what your eyes do not see. It is anchored in what my spirit already knows. I did not call you when you were ready. I called you because I am the one who makes you ready. And this place of tension, of quiet obedience, of invisible preparation, this is holy ground. You have misunderstood it as silence, as obscurity, as delay. But I want you to hear me clearly now. This is the moment I trust the most. Not when the promise is fulfilled, but when you believe me before it is. When you respond to my voice while nothing around you yet agrees with it. That is real faith. That is true calling. That is where I meet you with the kind of presence that does not visit. It transforms. You are not waiting to be called. You have already been called. The real question is whether you will still answer even when the victory is not visible. Because that is when the greatest turning happens. Not when you see the miracle, but when you move toward it anyway. Not when you hear the applause, but when you choose to walk forward in the quiet. This is the crucible of becoming. This is the fire where identity is sealed. This is the invisible altar where real authority is born. So many ask me for impact. So many ask me for favor. But few understand that before I give you influence, I lead you through invisibility. Not to punish you, but to protect the purity of your purpose. Because I love you too much to hand you the weight of victory without first giving you the strength of secret obedience. And you, my child, have been walking that road. Not perfectly, but faithfully. Not without pain, but without quitting. You have stayed in places that felt hollow. You have prayed when nothing changed. You have obeyed without outcome. And for that I say to you now, I have seen everything. Nothing you have carried has been wasted. Not one moment, not one tear, not one silent prayer. I have watched you choose me without needing reward. I have seen you walk with integrity when compromise would have been easier. I have witnessed the depth of your surrender. And I have not looked away, because this is where I do my deepest work. Not in the moment of celebration, but in the season of consecration. Not in the brightness of fulfillment, but in the shadows where your yes still burns even when no one sees it. This calling that rests upon your life. It is not light. It is not ordinary. It is not common. It is heavy with destiny. It is soaked in eternity. And yes, it costs something. The ones I call before the victory, I take through a path that feels longer, deeper, narrower than others. Not because I am far from you, but because I am closer than you have ever known. The narrow path is not punishment. It is proof that I am forming something that will not collapse. When the breakthrough comes, I know it feels like everyone else is moving while you are standing still. I know it seems like others receive answers while you sit in silence. But you are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible to me. You are in alignment. You are in position. You are in preparation. And that, my beloved, is the most powerful place you could be. This is your reality now. You are called before the victory, not after it, not because of it, but as the reason for it. And the ones who answer that call, the ones who choose me in the invisible, who believe me in the silence, who obey me in the stretching, they are the ones I raise with power, with depth, with truth that cannot be stolen. And I am raising you. I know how tired you are. Not only in your body, but in your soul, the kind of weariness that does not come from doing too much, but from carrying too much alone. You have done your best to remain faithful, to keep walking, to keep praying, to keep believing. Even when it felt like the heavens had gone quiet, you have tried to stay strong in places that have offered no strength in return. And though no one else may have seen it, I have. I saw every morning you woke up hoping to feel something different. I saw every night you laid down, wondering if anything you are doing even matters. I saw you when you kept trusting me, not because you saw results, but because you did not know how to let go of me. And I want you to know this with full certainty. You have never disappointed me. You have doubted yourself. You have questioned your timing. You have second-guessed your voice. But I have not looked at you with disappointment. I have looked at you with honor, with pride, with the kind of deep, eternal affection that cannot be shaken by weakness. You are not a failure. You are not a mistake. You are not a problem I am trying to fix. You are a vessel I am preparing. You are a child I am walking with. You are a heart I have chosen to carry the unseen until it becomes reality. You have asked me, "What do you think of me, Lord?" And you have waited, sometimes in silence, for a sign that I am still pleased. So let me say it now as clearly as heaven can speak to earth. I delight in you. I delight in your heart that still turns toward me when no one else sees it. I delight in the way you have forgiven when it cost you something. I delight in the quiet strength that grows in you each time you say yes, even with trembling hands. I do not measure your worth by your perfection. I measure it by your proximity. And you have remained close, even in confusion. So many believe they must earn my presence. That if they could just pray louder, believe harder, perform better, maybe then I would come near. But you have learned something holier than performance. You have learned what it is to stay when the answers do not arrive. You have discovered the sacred ground of faith without proof. And that is where I meet you now, not with demands, not with pressure, but with invitation. I am not calling you to do more. I am calling you to come closer, closer than you have in a long time, closer than your rhythm of busyness has allowed, closer than the noise of disappointment has permitted. You have been surviving your days, managing your burdens, offering me pieces of your heart in between responsibilities. But I want more than your offering. I want your attention. I want your stillness. I want the space where you finally stop striving long enough to feel me again because I am still speaking. You have not missed me. I have not stopped moving. You are not out of sync with heaven. You are right where I want you. But to hear what I am about to say next, to recognize what I am preparing to unfold, you must slow down enough to perceive me again. The world rushes, the enemy pressures, but I still whisper. And my whisper does not shout over chaos. It waits for surrender. I want you to begin walking again, not with desperation, but with deliberate softness, with intentional awareness, with the certainty that you are not earning the next season. You are simply aligning with it. That is what calling before the victory is. It is knowing the seed is already in the ground, even if no one sees it breaking through. It is tending the soil of your soul even when there is no visible fruit. It is showing up in the secret place because you believe me more than you believe your emotions. And you do believe me even if some days it is faint. I see your faith. Not the loud kind that shouts from rooftops, but the quiet kind that still whispers, "I trust you," through tears. That kind of faith moves me more than you realize. That kind of faith shakes things in the unseen. That kind of faith is why I have protected you, even from things you did not know you needed protection from. You thought nothing was happening. But I have been building around you, clearing paths you have not walked yet, softening hearts you have not met yet, aligning timelines that are about to intersect with your destiny. But I do not want you walking into what is next with the wrong posture. I do not want you dragging shame or doubt into the place I am calling you to. That is why I am pausing here to tell you the truth again. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not behind. You are not being punished. You are being refined. You are being matured. You are being made strong in the quiet so you can stand steady in the open. And now I want you to breathe again, deeply, let go of the tension that has tried to hold your chest hostage. Release the expectations that were never yours to carry. Come back to me, not out of obligation, but out of love. Let this be the return to trust, the return to presence, the return to joy that does not need explanation. You do not have to fix anything to come near. You only have to say yes, not to a ministry, not to a mission, just to me, to this moment. To this voice, to the truth that I am still here and I am still for you because you are mine. And I never stop seeing you. My child, I know the pain you carry is not only heavy, it is layered. It was not formed in one moment, but in a series of places where you gave more than you had, trusted deeper than you were ready to, and hoped longer than the outcome seemed to justify. Pain has not only touched you, it has shaped the way you wait, the way you pray, the way you guard your heart when the answers do not come quickly. And I want you to know that I have not only seen your pain, I have walked inside of it with you. I did not watch from a distance as you broke. I was there in the stillness when your tears fell without sound, when you kept walking though everything inside you wanted to stop. You believed I was silent, but I was near. You assumed I was withholding, but I was preserving. What felt like my absence was, in fact, the weight of my nearness bearing down quietly, watching over you when nothing else made sense. There are things that were taken from you, dreams that dissolved without warning, relationships that faded like smoke, seasons that ended without closure, and each loss did not simply grieve you. It reshaped how you saw yourself. But that reshaping was never meant to become your identity, and this is where I begin to rebuild what pain tried to define. You were not abandoned. You were not forgotten. You were not cursed. You were being refined in the quietest, most sacred way. I allowed the ground to break beneath you, not to crush you, but to reveal what could no longer hold you. I let the scaffolding fall because I never meant for you to build your security on temporary supports. And though it hurt, I was guarding the foundation of what I was preparing to build in you. The pain you have walked through did not just hurt. It made you question everything, not only about your future, but about me. You tried to reconcile the gap between what I promised and what you saw. You wondered if you had misheard, misstepped, misunderstood, but you did not. You heard me, you followed me. And what you encountered was not the void of divine betrayal, but the valley of divine transformation. You see, I do not measure your calling by how easy the journey looks. I measure it by what I am building in your spirit along the way. And in this journey, I have been building something that will outlast the circumstances that tried to break you. Not a temporary blessing, but an eternal strength. Not a fleeting joy, but a rooted identity. Not a shallow light, but a fire that no storm will ever put out. You have wondered why I did not step in sooner, why I did not close certain doors or answer certain prayers the way you begged me to. But what you did not know, what I protected you from seeing, was what those things would have cost your soul. Some of what I withheld in love. Some of what you called delay, I called mercy. Some of what you called rejection was actually redirection, not away from purpose, but deeper into it. You saw what you lost. I saw what you were gaining, even though it did not look like increase at first. I saw the deeper capacity for compassion, the sharpening of discernment, the birth of endurance, the quiet strength of one who keeps showing up, even when no one claps. And I called it good, not because the pain was good, but because I am able to take even the darkest threads and weave them into something holy. I know the ache that remains when you have held on longer than your strength should allow. I know what it feels like to love and not be loved in return, to give and be misunderstood, to hope and be met with silence. These are the spaces where many walk away, but you stayed, not because you did not feel the weight, but because something deeper than circumstance kept pulling you forward. That something was me. I placed within you a flicker of fire that even disappointment could not smother. I sustained you when your prayers turned into sighs. I remained when all you had left was a whisper of faith that barely made it to your lips. And in those moments, I was not waiting for a better version of you to appear. I was holding you through the version that was breaking. And now I want you to understand something you have long misunderstood. The pain you walked through was not evidence of my absence. It was preparation for the weight of what I am about to release. I could not place certain things in your hands until your heart had been strengthened. Not because you were unworthy, but because the depth of the calling demanded a vessel that could withstand pressure, rejection, and responsibility without collapsing. And that is what I have made you into. Slowly, silently, steadily. You are not emerging from this broken. You are emerging refined. You are not leaving this place in pieces. You are leaving with a foundation that will not crack under what I am about to build upon it. The pain has not disqualified you. It has certified you, not in the eyes of the world, but in the courts of heaven. And that is where your true commissioning was always meant to begin. So take a deep breath now. Not because the pain never happened, but because it no longer defines you. Let the questions fall to the ground. I do not need you to understand every step. I need you to trust that I was in every step. I have never let you go. I have never changed my mind about you. And I have never stopped working, even in the silence. You have walked through the fire. Now, my beloved, prepare for what only comes after the fire. Glory, my child. Now that I have brought you through the valley, now that the sound of pain has begun to soften in your soul, it is time for you to hear what has been unfolding in the unseen. Because I have not been still. I have not been idle. While your eyes searched for progress and your heart strained to hear my voice, I was weaving things in silence. Alignments, pathways, answers, and promises too sacred to be rushed, too eternal to be birthed in haste. What looked like delay was actually my protection over perfect timing. What felt like denial was the pause of wisdom. Not because you were forgotten, but because you were being perfectly positioned. You are standing now on the edge of a turn. Not a metaphorical one, not a distant hope, but a shift that has already begun. You have asked me, even in your quiet thoughts, how will I know when it is time? How will I see the difference between another false start and the beginning of what you have promised? And I tell you now, you will know, not because the signs will shout, but because your spirit will recognize my fingerprints again. I have trained your eyes in the hidden place to discern me without noise. That is why you feel what you feel even now. A stirring that does not yet have language, a sense of movement before anything has actually changed. That is how my work often begins. Not with spectacle, but with quiet confirmation in your spirit that refuses to leave you alone. I am not giving you back what you lost. I am giving you what I always had in mind. What is ahead of you is not a restoration of old dreams. It is the fulfillment of promises you had no name for yet. You are about to step into things that make past prayers seem small. And it will not come through striving or self-promotion. It will come through alignment. You are being aligned not with opportunity, but with assignment. What I am opening now is not just a door. It is a season, a divine window of convergence, where what I placed in you will begin to touch what I have prepared around you. Yes, the shift is spiritual, but it will manifest in tangible ways. You will see conversations begin that you did not initiate. You will find yourself drawn to people, places, and moments that seem unremarkable at first, but they will carry the next layer of your unfolding. Pay attention to your spirit. When peace begins to fill places where anxiety once ruled, when clarity begins to come in places where you have only known fog, those are not emotional changes. They are signs. They are the gentle indicators that my hand is moving. You have spent long seasons asking for signs. I am not angry at your asking. I understand the ache for confirmation when silence has stretched too far, so I will speak in ways your spirit cannot ignore, but it will not be the kind of noise you once chased. It will be quiet, like a scripture read at the right time, a dream that leaves peace instead of confusion, a word someone speaks without knowing they are echoing my thoughts. These are the holy breadcrumbs I leave for you in the journey. They do not replace my voice, but they affirm it, and you will begin to see them more and more as you lean into me again. There will also be signs in the places that once resisted you. The doors that remained closed for so long, doors you stopped knocking on because you were tired of the silence. Those very doors are now being touched by my hand. But this time you will not have to force your way in. You will not have to beg to be noticed. The same places that once overlooked you will begin to open before you. Not because you have changed your strategy, but because I have changed your season. Do not be surprised if things begin to move quickly. Do not be startled if what you waited on for years begins to unfold in moments. This is not acceleration as the world defines it. This is fulfillment reaching its appointed time. And when the time arrives, what once seemed impossible becomes natural. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where I need you to be. And every moment you remained faithful in silence has been recorded in the soil of the Spirit. Now that soil is beginning to break open, but I say this as clearly as I can. Do not return to old rhythms now. Do not fall back into old patterns of doubt, fear, or self-sabotage. This new season will require a new posture. You must walk differently now, not arrogantly. Not anxiously, but attentively. This is not the time to be careless with your attention. This is not the time to dismiss the small movements of my spirit. The seeds are fragile at first. And though what I am doing is unstoppable, your partnership matters. Not to earn it, but to nurture it. Walk slowly when you feel rushed. Listen deeper when the world demands reaction, and above all, Speak with me about every decision before you move, because what I am giving you is not just favor, it is weight, it is responsibility, it is spiritual authority. And I want you to carry it with the same purity I found in you when no one else was looking. You have not waited in vain. You have not trusted me for nothing. Every tear, every night of quiet surrender, every moment you chose to worship when you could have walked away, it has all been leading here. Not to a single event, not to a breakthrough you can post about, but to the beginning of the season I have been riding over your life since before you were born. Now look again at what seemed lifeless. Look again at what felt like closed chapters. Look again at what you once grieved. I am breathing on things you buried, but only because now you are finally ready to carry them the way I always intended. You are not returning to what was. You are rising into what I have always prepared. This is not just another phase. This is not another test. This is the first sound of fulfillment breaking the ground. Listen closely, beloved. The signs are speaking. The time is now, my child. You have received my words. You have been stirred by the signs. You have seen the ground begin to shift beneath your spirit. But now the invitation turns into instruction, not as demand, but as wisdom, because what I am leading you into requires more than awareness. It requires response. You have asked me what to do with what you feel, how to live in light of what I have spoken, how to walk while the full manifestation is still forming, and I tell you now. Faith must become your movement. Not just your inner belief, but your outer rhythm. Not just your desire for me, but your devotion in me. The season you are stepping into will be marked not by loud announcements, but by quiet obedience, and that obedience will not begin when you see everything clearly. It begins here with what you already know. This is not about becoming something new overnight. This is about remembering who you are and choosing to live from that place day by day, thought by thought, step by step. I am not asking you to carry more than you have strength for. I am asking you to walk faithfully in what has already been revealed. You know more than you think you do. You hear me more clearly than you believe. You are not unprepared. You are simply unfamiliar with what it feels like to move with confidence before the outcome appears, but that is the essence of walking by faith. And now I am calling you into a life that reflects what I have already spoken over you, even if the external evidence has not caught up yet. You do not need full vision to begin. You need full surrender. You do not need every detail confirmed. You need your heart in alignment. That is where my power flows, not in your certainty, but in your availability. So begin again. Not with urgency, but with intention. Begin with me in the first moments of your day, not out of duty, but out of desire. Make space where I can speak before the noise of the world forms your mindset. Give me your attention, not just for inspiration, but for direction. I will speak. I will lead, but you must come with stillness, not agenda. You must trust that my voice is not distant. It is near, waiting for the room you are finally ready to make. I will guide you through the smallest choices, not just the monumental ones. I will teach you how to treat your thoughts, your time, your words, your relationships with the weight of the calling I have placed in you. It is not about striving to be spiritual. It is about living as one who is already saturated with my spirit. It is about letting the truth of who you are in me bleed into how you live, how you speak, how you respond when fear tries to whisper its old lies. And when that fear comes, as it surely will, you do not have to silence it with force. You only need to remember that it no longer owns your response. You are no longer walking as one who is unsure. You are walking as one who has been called before the victory, and that calling is your compass now. Do not wait for the atmosphere to shift before you choose joy. Do not wait for others to understand before you walk in obedience. Do not wait for the storm to pass before you declare peace. These are not emotional strategies. These are spiritual decisions. This is what it means to live by faith in the invisible. You declare before you see. You sow before you reap. You trust before you feel. You give when you feel empty. You rest even when the world tells you to hustle. You forgive when bitterness seems easier. You love when fear says to protect yourself. And each time you do, heaven moves closer. Each time, the kingdom advances not just around you, but through you. Begin to take responsibility for your atmosphere, not with control, but with presence. What you feed grows. What you entertain influences. What you repeat roots. Choose to fill your space with what sharpens your spirit. Surround yourself with my word, not just occasionally, but daily. Not just to soothe your heart, but to rewire it. Let scripture become the language of your thought life. Let worship become the soundscape of your solitude. Let prayer become the breath between your decisions, not performance, not pressure. Just presence, constant living presence. And as you live this way, not perfectly but honestly, you will begin to sense the difference. The fog will begin to lift. Your confidence will return. Not in yourself, but in your nearness to me, not in your ability to manage outcomes, but in your willingness to move when I speak. That is the rhythm I am restoring in you. Not driven by external progress, but by internal peace, not reactive to the world's demands, but responsive to heaven's whisper. Do not underestimate the power of your small obedience. I do not measure movement by applause. I measure it by surrender. When you begin to act on what I say, even in private, even when no one understands, it creates a pathway for my promises to find you. You are not earning anything by your effort. You are cultivating space for what I have already said would come. This is not about making things happen. This is about preparing to receive what has already been released. You have been trained in the silence. Now you will be trusted in the unfolding, but do not rush the unfolding. Stay steady. Stay surrendered, stay open. You are not behind. You are not guessing. You are responding to the voice that has never stopped calling you. And this is the life I now invite you to live. Not waiting for the victory, but walking as if it is already done. Because from my perspective, it is. My child, you have walked through fire that many could not see, carried burdens that no one ever named, and smiled in moments where your soul was quietly bleeding. You have spent so much energy trying to hold yourself together, not only for your sake, but for those around you, believing that if you could just stay strong long enough, maybe the promise would finally come. But in that long and silent strength, something began to erode beneath the surface, the clarity of who you are. Not just what you do, not just how others see you, but who you truly are when no one is looking and when nothing is working. I have come now to restore that clarity, not through effort, but through truth. Because I never formed you from your performance. I formed you from my breath, from my desire. From a place in eternity that shaped you long before fear, failure, or rejection ever had a voice. You have looked at yourself through lenses that were never designed to define you. You have measured your worth by how well you recovered, by how quickly you forgave, by how little you allowed your weakness to show. But I am not measuring your identity by your resilience. I am not marking you by your struggle. I do not need you to prove your value to me. My love for you was complete before you ever earned or lost anything. You are not a project to me. You are not a disappointment to me. You are not a collection of mistakes, mischances, or nearly fulfilled callings. You are my child, not symbolically, not temporarily. You are mine in the deepest, most eternal sense of that word. I know that somewhere along the way, parts of you began to believe that if the promise has not come yet, then maybe you are the problem. That maybe if you were stronger, more disciplined, more spiritually sharp, then things would be different. And that quiet accusation has grown roots, has it not? Not always loud, but always present, whispering to you when you are alone, nudging at you when you worship, showing up in the silence after you pray. I have watched that lie eat away at your boldness. I have seen how it has shaped the way you expect less, how it has shrunk your prayers, how it has made you edit your dreams so you will not feel the sting of disappointment again. But today, I have come to tear that lie down, not with noise, but with the slow, steady weight of truth that does not need to be loud to be final. The truth is this. You are not the version of yourself that pain tried to create. You are not what abandonment said you were. You are not what delay implied about your faith. You are not what silence suggested about your calling. I have never withdrawn my word over your life, not for a moment. Even in your lowest hour, even when you doubted me, even when you questioned your own value, I remained, not just beside you, but within you, speaking identity into places that had not heard truth in years. You do not need to rebuild yourself. You need only to return to what I already spoke. Your identity is not missing. It has only been buried under the weight of too many battles and too little rest. Let me uncover it now. I created you not to perform, but to carry, not to impress, but to embody, not to chase validation, but to overflow with the assurance that your existence is saturated with purpose. And that purpose does not rest on your ability to keep everything in order. It rests on my presence within you, and my presence is not fragile. You may feel fractured, but I see the strength I placed in you before a single crack ever formed. You may feel unqualified, but I see the purity of your surrender, and that surrender is what I trust. You may feel unseen, but I have had my eyes on you through every season, even the ones where you could not feel me. So let the striving cease now. Let the pressure fall off your shoulders. Let the voice that tells you to try harder and prove more be silenced by my voice. The voice that says, I know you. I chose you. I am still with you. You do not have to wear the masks anymore. You do not have to minimize your presence to make others comfortable. You do not have to hide the fire I placed inside you to blend in with environments that were never designed to nurture your growth. You are not too much. You are not too late. You are not forgotten. You are not beyond repair. You are exactly who I designed, exactly where I need you, and exactly what this moment in history calls for. Not because of what you can do, but because of what I have made you to carry. Let that truth settle into your bones. Let it replace every narrative that shame tried to build. Let it become the mirror through which you see yourself again, not distorted by comparison or exhaustion, but made whole by revelation. I am restoring you, not just emotionally but foundationally. I am bringing you back to the root of your worth, back to the center of your calling, back to the original design that was never touched by failure, never altered by rejection, never reduced by delay. I am not just bringing you into the next season. I am bringing you, the real you, into alignment with heaven. You are more than ready, not because you feel it, but because I have said it. And what I say becomes truth the moment I release it. Walk now with that assurance, not as someone trying to become, but as someone who already is. You are seen. You are whole. You are mine, my child. Now that your identity has been restored and your heart has been aligned again with truth, I want to show you how to walk forward, not with frantic energy or spiritual exhaustion, but with rhythm, with clarity, and above all, with intimacy. I did not call you out of the wilderness so that you could live aimlessly. I called you to walk with me, not ahead of me, not behind me, but with me. And to walk with me is not to chase constant breakthrough, nor to survive one battle after another. To walk with me is to live in daily awareness of my nearness, to order your steps according to what I have spoken, not what you see. I am not giving you a set of tasks to accomplish. I am offering you a way of being rooted, present, and open to what heaven wants to build through you every single day. Everything I am about to do in your life will require a deeper capacity to hear me clearly and respond without delay. And for that, you must protect the place of communion. There is no substitute for the secret place. No sermon, no spiritual gift, no connection. No revelation can replace the power of you meeting me in stillness. I am inviting you now to return, not as a routine, but as a lifeline. Set aside the early hour, the quiet moment, the corner of your day that belongs only to me. In that place, you do not need to come with the right words or the right emotions. You only need to come honestly. I am not looking for performance. I am looking for presence. When you make space for me, I will meet you with more than words. I will meet you with clarity, with rest, with instruction, with power. You do not need to strive to hear me. You only need to slow down enough for your spirit to recognize me again. I am not far. I have never been far. But I do not shout over distraction. I wait until the heart is willing to return. So choose me first, not after the day takes you in 10 directions. Choose me before the noise. Choose me before the pressure builds. Choose me before the questions rise. And watch how your atmosphere changes when I am the first voice you welcome each morning. Your day is not too full to find me. Your mind is not too scattered to hear me. I can speak through the storm, but more often I speak before it. And when I do, it is so that you are no longer reacting to the world, but responding to my spirit. And when you meet me there, bring my word into the room, not just to read for inspiration, but to listen as if every verse carries breath. My word is not a book of religious tradition. It is a living conversation, layered with meaning, charged with revelation. I will speak to you through it, not randomly, not impersonally, but directly. I will highlight what you need for that hour. I will confirm what I have already whispered. I will give you strength through lines that feel tailor-made for the battle you are facing. But you must return to it like one who believes it holds more than knowledge. You must approach it like food for the soul, not as an obligation, but as sustenance. Read slowly. Let it read you. Do not rush through chapters to feel productive. Linger until your heart hears me. There will be mornings when it feels dry. There will be nights when it feels distant. But remain, even in silence. I am at work. Even when the words seem familiar, I am planting something eternal. Faithfulness is not built in moments of intensity. It is built in moments of consistency. You are not building a spiritual habit. You are building an altar. Every time you return, even without emotion, you are saying, "This is where I meet with the Lord, and I will honor that place." Beyond the secret place, I want to walk with you through your day. I want you to speak with me not only in prayer, but in decisions, in interactions, in pauses between your plans. I want you to develop an inner awareness that I am always with you, that I am ready to respond, to guide, to correct, to comfort, not just when you are kneeling, but when you are living. Bring me into the decisions you think are too small. Ask me before you assume. Trust the pause I give you when something seems off. Do not overwrite it. That is how I lead. Softly, deeply, wisely. The more you respond, the more sensitive you become. The more you obey, the clearer the next instruction becomes. I am not hiding my will from you. I am drawing you into the kind of relationship where my voice becomes your compass and my presence becomes your home. You must also guard what you consume, not just what you eat, but what you watch. What you dwell on, what you repeat in your mind, and what you allow to echo in your environment, what you allow in your ears, you eventually carry in your heart, what you meditate on in your thoughts. You eventually manifest in your life. If you want to walk in alignment with what I have declared, then you must be willing to remove what is misaligned, even if it seems harmless. The days ahead will require focus, not because danger surrounds you, but because destiny is drawing near, and the clearer your inner world becomes, the more prepared you will be to steward what I am about to entrust to you. This is not about becoming perfect. This is about becoming attuned. You do not need to control your future. You only need to stay connected to the one who already holds it. I will give you wisdom for each day. I will guide you through tension and transition. I will teach you how to respond to opposition without losing your peace. But I must have your attention, not in crisis only, but in the quiet rhythm of devotion. So walk with me, not as a distant God, but as a present Father. Invite me into every room, every question, every moment of hesitation. Return to the place of prayer. Return to the word that still speaks. Return to the pace where you can breathe again. You are not stepping into this next season empty-handed. You are stepping in with a new rhythm, a new authority, a new clarity, not because you figured it all out, but because you have returned to me. And that is where everything begins again. My child, there are moments in heaven's timeline when the veil between process and promise begins to thin, when what has long been buried in faith starts to tremble under the weight of fulfillment. This is one of those moments. You may not feel it yet in your emotions, and you may not see it fully with your eyes, but something is shifting, not in theory, not someday, but now. You have been faithful in the silence. You have remained when it would have been easier to walk away. You have obeyed when no one celebrated, prayed when nothing changed, and waited when hope tried to dry up. And now what was once only prophecy is beginning to awaken in the atmosphere around you. I am moving. And this time I am not just moving in you. I am moving for you. You are not waiting for a door to open. The door has already begun to unlock. You are not asking for clarity that I refuse to give. I have been speaking in impressions and patterns in moments of unexpected peace. I have placed my voice in the words of others without them knowing. I have confirmed things to you twice, 3 times. So your spirit would stop second-guessing what I already revealed. And now I speak it again, not as reminder, but as declaration. The season of unseen formation is yielding to a season of visible fulfillment, not because you demanded it, not because time finally caught up, but because the hour I appointed from the beginning has arrived. You will begin to see the same places that once rejected you become places of release. You will walk into rooms that once felt too big for you and discover you are not only welcome, you are expected. Doors will open not through striving, but through alignment. Relationships will form not through strategy, but through recognition. People who carry pieces of what I have placed in you will find you drawn not by charisma or platform, but by the fragrance of my spirit that now rests on you differently. You have changed even if you have not noticed. You carry depth now. You carry stability. You carry a peace that cannot be fabricated. And that peace will become the gate through which others come to know me. What comes next will not be about speed. It will be about precision. I am not rushing you into visibility. I am positioning you in intentional divine moments where heaven's agenda intersects with earth's need, and you will be in the middle. You will not need to shout. You will not need to force. Your authority will come from the stillness you carry, from the integrity I formed in the shadows, from the intimacy that shaped you while others were chasing recognition. You are no longer one who needs to be seen to be secure. You are no longer one who fears being overlooked. You have passed through the fire of silence and come out refined. That is what qualifies you now. Do not be surprised when things begin to happen quickly. What you planted in tears will rise in waves. What you sowed quietly will produce loudly. What you released in trust will return multiplied. Not because of formula, but because of faithfulness. You held the line. You protected the seed. You trusted me in the dark. And now the first fruits are coming. Not everything at once, but enough to shift your atmosphere permanently. Enough to prove that I never stopped working. Enough to remind you that the wilderness was not wasted. It was where you learned to walk without needing evidence. And as the promise unfolds, stay low, stay near, stay grounded in me. This next season is not about promotion. It is about presence. It is not about opportunity. It is about obedience. I am not interested in making you impressive. I am forming you into someone immovable. Let me finish what I started. Do not idolize the result. Do not anchor yourself in the applause of others. What I give now is weighty, and it requires a heart that remains dependent. You do not need to prove that you are ready. Your humility is what tells me that you are. This is the beginning of a divine return. Not to what was, but to what I always intended. You are not going back. You are being brought forward into something entirely new. Your voice will carry a different sound. Your presence will release a different atmosphere. And those who once passed you by will wonder what changed. You will not have to explain it. You will not have to defend it. You will simply carry it. The evidence will be undeniable. The shift will be real. And the glory will be mine. So breathe again. Hope again. Move again. The hesitation you have lived under is breaking. The fear of getting it wrong is falling. The questions that chased you are quieting. You are no longer being prepared. You are being released. And though it may begin quietly, it will not stay small. I am expanding the borders of your influence not for ego, but for impact. And every place your foot touches will carry the residue of the secret place. The mark of one who was called before the victory and remained faithful until it came. This is your moment. This is your turn. Not to grasp, but to receive. Not to prove, but to walk. The invisible is becoming visible. The word is becoming flesh. The promise is becoming reality. And you, my beloved, are stepping into everything I said you would with nothing missing and nothing wasted. My child, now is the moment where I draw nearer, not as a distant voice that instructs from beyond the clouds, but as a presence that fills the room you are in right now. I am not speaking to you from far away. I am inhabiting the very atmosphere around you. Not in symbols, not in shadows, but in reality. This is not a moment for performance, not a time for explanation. This is the moment I touch what your hands could never heal. The moment I enter the parts of your life you have kept carefully sealed. Not because you were unwilling, but because you were unsure how to let someone so holy, so powerful, enter a place so fragile. But I am not afraid of your fragile places. I am not offended by what you still do not know how to explain. I am here to inhabit not just your words, but your wounds. Let me in fully, without condition, without filters. I do not need a cleaned-up version of your soul. I do not want the rehearsed lines or the brave face you have learned to wear to survive hard seasons. What I want is access to the real you. The one who wrestles in silence. The one who tries to stay strong while questioning the point of it all. The one who still hopes, even when it hurts to do so. I have never drawn close to your strength. I have always been drawn to your surrender. I am not looking for what you can fix. I am looking for what you will finally hand over to me. The anxiety you have normalized. The guilt you have grown used to carrying. The numbness that sneaks in between moments of faith. I want all of it. Not to judge, but to fill. Not to expose you in shame, but to flood you with healing where you once only knew survival. This is not about emotional release, that you may feel tears rise without knowing why. This is not about sensationalism or outer demonstration. This is about me doing what only I can do. Reordering what the world broke inside you. Healing memories that have dictated your present. Disarming the fears that became so familiar they began to sound like your own voice. I come not with a sword to punish, but with oil to anoint. With breath to awaken. With light to show you what still lives inside you. The enemy tried to convince you that too much time had passed. That you were too far gone to be moved deeply by my spirit again. That your heart had been hardened by too much disappointment. But I say now with all authority, your heart is still soft. Your spirit is still alive. You are not beyond the reach of my transforming presence. You will feel me, and not just as a passing comfort but as a living fire. Not a flame that burns out by morning, but one that reshapes the very way you breathe, think, feel, and see. This is not a momentary touch. This is a shift in habitation. I do not visit where I am not welcomed, but I remain where I am invited. Let this be that place, not once, not emotionally, but deeply, daily, fully. Invite me into the thoughts you hide from yourself, into the reactions you do not understand, into the cycles that keep repeating, into the fatigue that you have tried to mask with spiritual language. I already see it all, but I will not force my way in. I wait for your permission to transform. The transformation I bring is not simply external. I am not just preparing you for a stage, a breakthrough, a next chapter. I am preparing you to be the kind of person who does not collapse under the weight of what I give. I am fortifying your interior life, because true change does not come from a shift in circumstances. It comes from a shift in identity. I am establishing you in me. I am teaching you how to live without the need to earn, to perform, to protect yourself. I am building a life in you that can carry peace in the face of pressure, hope in the face of contradiction, and clarity in the middle of unknowns. This is not a superficial work. This is a deep, lasting renovation of your soul. And yes, I will use this encounter to lift off burdens you were never meant to carry. I will restore joy to places that have not felt it in years. I will bring laughter back to your inner life. Not because everything outside you has changed, but because you have finally let me reshape the atmosphere within. The old labels are falling. The old defenses are melting. The old fears are losing power. You will look back on this moment as the hour your heart began to breathe again. Not because of anything you did, but because of the one who entered your silence with glory. Do not resist what you feel now. Do not explain it away. I am here and I am not leaving. My spirit is not a visitor. My spirit is your inheritance. I am filling every room of your heart, even the ones that still hold shadows. And where I fill, freedom follows. Where I dwell, healing flows. Where I reign, nothing stays the same. So let go, rest, breathe. This is not just the next chapter. This is a new life from the inside out. The invisible flame is now a holy fire. You are not just being visited. You are being indwelt. My child, now that the veil has been pulled back and my voice has been planted again in the soil of your spirit, I speak to you not as one who is still waiting to be called, but as one who has been set in motion. This is not the end of an emotional encounter. It is the beginning of an awakened life. You have walked through fire, through silence, through the slow formation of identity beneath the weight of questions. And now you have come out marked, refined, and ready in a way that no crowd, no applause, and no moment of clarity could have produced. What you carry cannot be manufactured, can only be forged. And you, my beloved, have been forged by fire and sealed by faith. I did not choose you because you were strong. I chose you because you were willing. And what I have built in you, I will now begin to build through you. I am not sending you into a future filled with uncertainty. I am sending you into a future already shaped by my hand. Every step you take now is guided by promise. Every word you speak will carry new weight, and every room you enter will sense the residue of the one who walks with you. You are not who you were. You are not where you were. You are not walking in circles anymore. You are walking with direction. You are walking with me. And still I remind you again, this victory is not a destination. It is a rhythm of life in which you live from what I have already spoken, not what you still hope to see. This is the rhythm of faith, not shaped by outcomes, but by obedience. Not rooted in how much you feel, but in how well you listen. You no longer need to chase favor. You carry it. You no longer need to fear missing your moment. You are in it, not because of external change, but because of internal surrender. What I have begun in you now flows outward. But stay low, stay close. Do not run ahead with what I have given you, and forget who gave it. The depth of this next season will only be preserved by the depth of your communion with me. Keep returning to the secret place. Keep choosing presence over pressure. Keep letting me be enough for you. Because I am. I always will be. So go now. Not to prove, not to impress, not to rush, but to walk with confidence. You are not hoping to be chosen anymore. You are not praying to be noticed. You are not striving to be seen. You are the one I called before the victory came. You are the one I trusted with the silence. You are the one I have now entrusted with the shift. Nothing about your life is random. Nothing about your journey is wasted. Nothing about what I have spoken has changed. Heaven has marked you. My spirit surrounds you, and my word in you will not return empty. Walk forward. The evidence will follow. Amen. If you have ever felt like I was calling you while everything around you still looked the same, leave a comment that says, I was called before the victory. Let this be your declaration. Not just to others, but to your own soul. Share this with someone who feels forgotten in the process, and if this spoke to you deeply, leave a like to help this message reach others walking through silence. Stay connected. There is more unfolding in the unseen.